Being the spotlight is the place to network and chat with me. Being the spotlight is the place to chat with me. I'm Sue of IT.
Hello and welcome to Be in the Spotlight, and my guest today for this month is Eduardo, and I am going to let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about what he does, and then we will carry on with our interview. Over to you, Eduardo.
Thank you so much, Sue. It's such a pleasure to be here today with you. It's a Friday, it's cold outside, warm inside, so it makes it even better for a Brazilian. And I already told you, right? So my name is Eduardo Silva. I'm actually a Brazilian. I've been living in Switzerland for the last 8 years. I have some experience living in the US as well. I started actually my career with technology. I was very young. I was 12, and I was using a software. I don't know if you know, Sue, called Lotus 123.
Yes, I know it.
It's the
Yes.
kind of precursor of Excel for the younglings out there. And at that age, I was already doing automation for the small business of my father. I have moved into the career and changed completely. I went into doing something that you do very well, Sue. I went into teaching technology. At that time, it was all about teaching people, simple people, sophisticated people, whoever, to operate computers, right?
Mhm.
Even turning it on and
Yeah.
logging in into Windows was
Yeah.
kind of a big thing.
Yeah.
And that experience gave me a lot, or helped me a lot with soft skill development, helped me connect more with people, and gave me a seed or an insight that was really something I liked doing. Then I moved a few years forward. I graduated as a software engineer. I'm a software developer as per profession, and I got the first opportunity to actually lead a team. And for me, that's actually that point when I really started what I call my career, because then I put the two things I love
Yeah.
doing together.
Yeah.
Technology, yes, computers, programming, delivering things, and people,
Yeah.
developing them,
Yeah.
working with them, seeing them grow
Yeah.
together with the deliveries we were doing, which actually is what led me into coaching. So right now, I am a technology leader. I work for corporate, and at the same time, I dedicate some of my time into coaching people, especially executive coaching, career coaching, and life coaching.
No, that is really good. I mean, I know when we talked before, when we first met, about there were so many similarities, that passions that were of interest, and yeah, I totally get that.
A lot of overlaps.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what you said about the helping and inspiring people and seeing them grow, I hadn't realised how much of an important thing it was to me, and actually until really in the last year, it's been, it's sort of, you spend so much time doing things because you end up going down that path because it's your expectations, and you don't actually realize what it is. And as you said, mentoring, I had a new tutor that I was working with last year, and it just reminded me of all of the stuff that I enjoyed when I was in a curriculum management role, and that leadership and inspiring other people. And yeah, totally loved it. And that obviously the tech the love of learning and stuff like that. If I
It
know
flows.
yeah, exactly. If I know what I knew, my little younger self, what I knew I was going to be doing now, gosh, I would have been doing some things differently. But it is what it is, and it's part of that growing experience of and making us who we are today. So yeah, thank you for
I
sharing
have
that.
a good friend I've made also through LinkedIn, Josephine Werner. She told me once, she wrote me once, and I thought that was really spot on. It would work for me. If I could go back
Yeah.
20 years to my 20-year-old self and give that person all that I've gathered, all the shortcuts, all the insights, all the experiences, that young guy would tell me, get off here. that is something that happens with humans, and I think it's beautiful. It's probably the reason why humans are going to persist and continue in this planet.
Yeah.
That we need to go through the experiences ourselves.
Yes, I agree. And that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've seen so many stories posted over the platforms about, oh, I've been through all this learning journey, but let me save you all the trouble. Let me help you do it yourself. I can see where they're going from, but I totally don't think it would have worked for me, because I have changed and pivoted in my own journey 2 or 3 times until I found what I am and what I know now. I wouldn't have got that if I'd gone for something else. And to be honest with you, again, listening to other people and their strategies of what works for them, trying to apply it for myself, it hasn't worked. And because they haven't taken the time to talk to me to actually see what it is I'm trying to do and what I want to achieve, the advice they've given me hasn't been the advice that I needed for me, because they haven't taken, it's all down about a 15-minute let's have a chat conversation. You can't get to know anybody in 15 minutes, not if you are really trying to get to know them and understand them and put together a plan. So I really have been the person, if you like, that's rebelled against the do this, so do it on my terms. Okay, it's taken me longer, but at the same time, it has been worth the process. It's been a learning process, and I can say each stage of the delivery, I've learned more, and the more I've learned, the more it's given me to deliver and teach in the classroom. So that comes in believing yourself in my B philosophy. So, but yeah, lovely.
And very practical, right? Even from the memory imprinting.
Yes.
Whatever you exercise, you do, you see the start and then the end, the input and the output. That you can internalize. That becomes learning.
Yeah, that is very true. And that is also how the process of growing comes, because I totally didn't realize how much I'd absorbed just through the free training and that I'd attended, and looking and listening to all the pitches. I think I know every single pitch there is out there now, the pitfalls and whatever, the conflicting opinions of what to do, which the conflicting opinions are definitely ones that are challenging to get your head around. But the thing is, now when I've done 2 or 3 workshops, and the diversity of the groups in the workshops I've done have been from the people with no social presence at all, to the ones that are starting out, have got something, to the ones that want to scale their business. And you're thinking, my goodness, am I going to be able to? But you answer it, because it's that knowledge that you've gained and what you've picked up from the platforms. And even like TikTok is a classic example. People think TikTok is for the younger generation and it is involving dance moves and doing funny routines. It isn't. In fact, it's actually probably one of the best platforms you can go to actually learn things and get long form video content after YouTube. And the difference between the two is obviously YouTube is so big, so vast. TikTok is a lot more easy to navigate and get your search results. And that, for me, getting social, getting digital, getting the digital skills is about learning how social media can be a form of education and a research tool, just the same as you've learned to use the internet, or now Google, and use YouTube. Social media can give you exactly the same experience, but you just need to know how to be on it, and getting that head around that you can be social without being a content creator or influencer, and learn skills and be on it, and the other one that really gets me was the algorithm. We all talk about the algorithm and how it
in LinkedIn, it's a big team, right?
but I always say, but you worry about the algorithm if it's for your following, but if you actually aren't worried about your following, the algorithm is what you want to see in your feed and what you're interested in. So you tell the algorithm what you're interested in, then you get to see the content that you want to see and follow the people that you're interested in. But they don't look at that. They don't tell you that side, because they all worry about the following that they forget. So that's my thoughts on that side of things. But there we go. We've already gone off piece in the conversation. I knew that we
That's
would.
absolutely fine, right? I think that this makes the conversation a conversation. I'm happy.
It definitely does. It definitely does. I did say to you, I might put something together, but don't trust me to follow it. Anyway, so we've talked. Actually, we have been talking about content. We talked about training, and I think what I want to talk to you a little bit more about now is I know that you have had a bit of a change in your career through, unfortunately, from circumstances that's made you pivot into do a different direction. How have you used those experiences to structure your development for this year, and to see your own personal growth, your training experiences this year, and how do you advise others who may have gone something through a similar route to both you and me to move themselves forward, to not be afraid, basically?
Let me start giving a little bit of background eventually to some of your audience that may not be at all familiar with me and don't want to spend hours and hours with my videos and content. I have been working for a pharmaceutical company for the last 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
As of middle of last year, was communicated that I would be laid off. So there is a process. As I live in Switzerland, there are some very specific rules which apply. And as a result of that, I actually terminating my contract with them by the end of this month. So this is what you're alluding to, right, Sue?
Yes, I was being tactful.
And I would even hit there when you said, unfortunately, we were having this little chat before coming into camera. I see this as everything except unfortunate. It has been a big blessing in my personal life for my career. I have been working very intensely for the last 25 and even a little bit more than that years, and I have never had a real break, a real career break to sit and rethink about the things I excel on, where I can direct more my energy, make sure that everything is very well connected with my purpose, with my mission, and ensure that I'm having the most positive impact I can have in this world. So I see it as a blessing. One thing that helped me a lot going through this process is that I have nurtured a lot of interests through my life.
Yeah.
So it was not that I was communicated about my layoff and my entire world kind of fell apart, because my job is one very important part of my life, but it's still one.
Yeah.
I have 9 other blocks that constitute what I call life. That is how I actually balance things. And the other 8 pillars have been sustaining me and supporting me through this process. The next thing I did after I was released from my duties was not sitting on a couch and turning on Netflix.
No.
I had such a huge backlog of things that I wanted to do. One of the first things I actually did was going to Hamburg, spending a month in an immersion training in German.
Wow.
Is the kind of thing that I just didn't have the time or the opportunity to do, being 100% full-time employed by any company, especially with a management job. It's virtually impossible. So I had these ideas, I have these aspirations, wishes, dreams, things that I wanted to develop on my profile with regards to skills, soft skills, hard skills. And basically, I just started planning around the time that I have in front of me. This is what I want to do. And that includes what I would call career planning or professional planning, the way you want to call it. There are several interests I have in terms of career.
Mm.
And I knew that it would be really cool if I could explore
Mm.
some of them, if I
Mm.
had the time to explore some of them.
Mm.
And that's what I got.
Mm.
The time. So it has been marvelous. And when I talk to people, because I have been through this experience,
Mm.
and because people really get surprised when they talk to me and they feel, okay, you're really positive about it. What is the secret?
Mm.
The secret is that maybe you're getting work take too much space in your
Mm.
life.
Mm.
I can only imagine how it feels if
Mm.
the only thing you do from Monday to Monday is work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody removes that thing from your life, of course, I would feel desperate.
Mm.
I would feel like beyond frustrated,
Mm.
angry.
Mm.
But if work is then a part of what you do, if you're
Mm.
having interests,
Mm.
then you're easily going to readjust life and
Yeah.
move around those. And
Yeah.
the interesting thing about it, you were proof of that too, is that you go, then you chase some of your interests, then you're going to find more opportunities, more
Yeah.
possibilities
Yeah.
of working, of getting an income, of
Yeah.
supporting your family. So all these things are going to come together.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. It is so true. I mean, one of the courses that I do is building your confidence course for people to return to work or go into volunteering. And when I was asked to do it, I sort of fell off from my chair and said, "You want me to do that? You know, me? No." The last person you'd have expected. But it is so true that when you are put in a position to do something you haven't done before, and people have, if you've had this constant negativity towards you that make you have no belief in yourself and self-worth, you don't think that you can do things. And I think the biggest, for me personally, transformation in myself and my journey, which has been a long journey, has been the turning of that negativity and everything that was not good, and dealing with it over the time. First of all, in the physical health transformation of weight loss and stuff like that, to then looking on the mental health and side of things and starting to believe in yourself. And when you start to talk to yourself in a positive way, whether it be through the journaling and stuff like that, taking those negatives and out of the way and focusing on the positive side, it's amazing how you can start to transform or reframe your outlook and your attitude. So when I started teaching these classes, and I always teach what I believe in myself and what my experiences and empathy with other people. And that believing in yourself, now when I'm looking at with people, I say to them, you got to balance it between how much time you spend looking for the job, because it's going to give you the negativity, to looking at the positive side and looking at what you do for yourself, and focus on what makes you happy. What do you enjoy? What is the thing that sets you alive? Because if you're going for interviews and stuff against other people who, have probably got the same skill set as you, what is it about you that will make you stand out about it? And if you get that passion in you, that comes through when you're talking and you're interviewing, and you can see the transformation in people. And that confidence is what I want them to get on and think about. And it's putting those ideas in there that they probably haven't thought of, because it's I've got to look for a job, we're looking, the same old scenario. That, yeah, go for it, but look at the things that you bring, what makes you explode with excitement and stuff like that. And it's amazing because you can see these light bulb moments coming into their head that they haven't even thought about. And I just thought, gosh, we've all got to go to work, so let's do something we enjoy doing and feel passionate about, and that passion will come through, trust me.
I love what you're saying. That passion will come true, because it will. I moved back maybe 10 years, I'm just thinking about certain situations, companies I visited, and so on, when they started introducing a lot of perks in the corporate world, from open bar office to football pitch for the people to play during their working hours and stuff like that. I feel like this was around the time people started realizing the importance of happiness,
Yeah.
that being happy, feeling happy has an extraordinary effect in terms of outcomes, productivity, accomplishments, and so on. But they got it wrong. They didn't study the books
No.
well enough.
No.
They didn't went into the psychology of it, and they mixed pleasure with happiness. And pleasure is great. Don't take me wrong. I keep the chocolate upstairs so I cannot reach it because I know how it feels when you have it. You know, pleasure is really, really good, and nothing against it, but it's not long lasting.
No, no, it's
not satisfying.
No, that would be where the buzz comes in. It gives you that buzz, but it's not it's not the buzzing
Exactly.
experience you want. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And what people should be chasing is rather the happiness that comes with being in a state of flow that is 100% associated with what you said. You feeling the passion for the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
I can tell you, and this is one of the reasons why I want to continue leading teams, for example, the complexity, the setting of having many people doing many things kind of at the same time gives me the thrills. And feeling that responsibility for something that is so much bigger than whatever I could really handle by myself. It's thrilling for me. I love it as much as sitting in front of my laptop and writing. I can do it for hours and hours, and it's like the whole world disappears and I am fully into it.
Yeah, again, that was so important what you said there about the team and working on that, because what I again found was when I've been in those roles is that you got your different types of workers and stuff like that, and trying to get people to do things, but I know who would be the people to go to. So even like me, yes, I like to think I'm the jack of all trades, I can do it all, but I also know my strengths and my limitations, but you can always improve on them. But the thing is, if I've got people in my team that are good at doing something, then for me to motivate them, it's to give them an opportunity to grow and shine and take, develop them, because then I know that I'm giving work to people that I know and trust can do a good job. It's giving them confidence because I've trusted them to do it. And even the people that are negative, you can turn them into a positive way, but you just got to manage them slightly differently. And what I found was that in some of the places where I've worked, you've had the people that are pro supporting you and will develop you, and then you've had the others that feel threatened because they don't like the fact that you come up with the ideas and the suggestions, and it's squashing those ideas until in the end you regress, you don't want to come up with ideas. So
Unfortunately,
it really happens. So I'm so like now with the teaching, one of the beautiful things about being on since the COVID, with the lockdown and having to be moved into a virtual environment, that I'm working with other tutors that I never worked before. We can actually talk about things. We can get on a Zoom call or a Teams meeting, have conversations, bounce ideas off, and actually work collaboratively, which before we would never have been doing. We were very much isolated and doing our own things. So I think that is something, being part of a team, that there's no I in team or me. Well, there is me actually, but it's knowing that you've all got a role to play, and it's making sure that you are making your team work to the best of their abilities, but that in positive feedback. Because I've had before, for me, when I get praise, it's like, it's like a dog getting, oh, you well done, you can carry on, and it enthusiasms you to do more. But when you don't get that, it's that motivation is the bit that people lose. And as you said about that positivity, that well-being, that thing, if you've got people happy in what they're doing and enjoying what they're doing and stuff like that, you get a lot more of a positive vibe around the place than not. And I think that's so important. So doing that training with teams to get that positive outcome is so important. And I think people like yourself that work on that is absolutely brilliant. It's totally what more people need to have.
And that is an important component to that is time. So it's an argument that I am making with a lot of executives, managers. If teams are not given the proper amount of time to
Yeah.
go through team formation phases, forming, norming, storming, and performing, what happens is that you are limiting the productivity and the outcomes so much, that you're actually wasting the money of your investors.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. Yeah, and you see it, but yeah, we get political here. You see it, but the people that need to see it aren't the people that see it. That was my experience. So for me, the negative, like you said, at the time, being made redundant was not a good thing, but in actual fact, it was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me in the journey going on to what I am now, and those the visions of what it is that you see, totally moving in the right direction. So yeah, I knew we'd go off piste a little bit.
How many hours is the interview of 150? What?
Oh my dear! Right, we've been chatting for a good half an hour. But what I want to do, just in as we've been talking about teams, is to pick up on one of the questions that I had written down. Was that you've talked about using and being responsible for the rollout of Microsoft Teams and Yammer on one of the bits I read up on you before we put together this. Can you share how beneficial that was and the strategies that you used to bring that into the organization that you were working on, as it was teams that we've been talking about?
I can absolutely talk about it. These are some of my past memories when it comes to the last, let's say, 5-7 years. And it's funny because the two technologies, they sit somewhere close together. Both of them now belong to the same company, Microsoft, and they make their piece in the digital workplace universe, but they are completely different creatures. And also from a timeline perspective, when I started with the rollout of Yammer, companies were not talking about digital workplace.
No,
it was just not a thing.
no.
In pretty much the topic started as okay, we have a new collaboration tool that we could explore, and that as much as people could understand it. And when I started with the Teams rollout, that was much later in time. First of all, we had already done the rollout of Yammer for more than 150,000 people.
Wow.
And there was a little bit more knowledge, more maturity around digital tools, and it was easier then to talk to people and explain. From a purpose perspective, it was almost like inverse experiences, because with something like enterprise social media, what you really need to make it work is volume and exposure. Because most corporate still follow a very hierarchical, despite of whatever they think, structure. You need a lot of support from top down to make it go through the ranks and become something useful, something meaningful for the enterprise and for the individuals, the associates. It made it extremely hard to start the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually had a very false start in which we tried to reach too high in the organization and do something too specific.
Mm-hmm.
That as an experience was okay-ish, but then it was immediately killed. And that's when I noticed that, okay, change management here comes first. We need to start smaller.
Mm-hmm.
We need to gather some sort of momentum.
Yeah.
And once we have that, then we need to hit some large group.
Yeah.
And we need to do a large onboarding of people. Otherwise, this is never going to be meaningful for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did. It was the end work of going around, I don't know how many countries, and knocking on people's door, explaining them, giving even these few opportunistic usages for the platform. Till one day it happened, because that's what happens with hard work, that we got to the door of the right person. I'm very blessed, grateful that I was so supported by so many people in that process. And a divisional manager, divisional executive, sorry about that, decided, yes, this is a good thing. We should really expand it.
Mm-hmm.
And we expanded from there, and then in another division, and then and then you start even in some sort of a healthy competition. Okay, they already have it, so we want that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
They already have it, so
Yeah.
we want that as well. To the point that when it was pushed to become something for the whole enterprise,
Mm-hmm.
there were some stakeholders playing a little dirty behind the scenes, trying to push some other platform, and that would really push the whole organization back like a couple of years. And they didn't really understand that. But because of the work we did, and because it was so consolidated, so established across so many groups, it was really a no-brainer from a decision-making perspective. And then that's how it even became the main platform of communication from corporate within the associates. Teams was the opposite. So Teams is something that works way better for smaller groups.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have 20 to 50 people, it's really perfect, because you get way more productive. You have all these tools at your hand that connects quickly with the people that you really needed to be connected with, and all information, documents, calls, contact information, and so on. It's all in your hand, in your fingertips, right?
Yeah.
And then, because we had the previous experience, we already had the connections as well.
Oh, yes, yes.
And that made the whole thing so much easier, because it was only about knocking the same doors and, hey, you remember me? We did this together a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Now I have something else.
Yeah.
The difference between that and this is so.
Yeah.
And it was so smooth, and made me really proud, because we had started with pilots, the concept of pilots. At some point, it became a really big pilot. We had like 20,000 people in a pilot. And then COVID.
Yes.
I was not part of the group anymore at that point. I had changed roles. But for them, it was extremely easy then to just complete the rollout.
Yeah.
Because it was already established, all the materials already, you had some stories to tell. It was really brilliant, brilliant experiences. It made me very proud of the team that put that together. The team felt very proud with the impact that they had on the organization. They know the difference that they have made, each and every one of them. And it was, from a change management perspective, probably the most insightful experience that I have had in my life. From the things that failed through getting successful.
No, and it's interesting that you hear in your story, because they're both platforms that have come into play in the adult education world that I'm in.
Sure.
So, and as I think I was saying to you at the start before we went on camera, that they weren't certainly not Yammer, they weren't things that we were using before, and now they're part of the everyday environment. You know, you get all the messages coming through on this is on Yammer and that's on Yammer. But for me, the Teams has been really key. I mean, we have Zoom as well, but the connection and being part of a team and being part of a team has really come to play since we've had that software be made available to us. And I think it's also, you know, majority of us have ended up being working from home or based at home now. So initially we were obviously teaching online during the lockdown, and then going back into the classroom, you're going to your work, but it's given us that hybrid work-life balance now that, you know, we never had that as an option before. So again, it's that benefit of your health and well-being that's brought to us, which leads very nicely into my next question about remote working collaboration. So you've had experience of rolling out Microsoft Teams across the globe, as it were. What specific challenges have you faced, and what solutions have you encountered since you have been collaborating with others that you could share? And are there any challenges or things that you would do now that you didn't do at the time?
I think there are many challenges, and they change radically from company to company. This is what I've been observing, talking to people across industries in pharma, in tech, in financial services. It's really dangerous to think that it's all the same, or to bring some sort of pre-cooked solution, pre-cooked strategy into any particular company. You need to consider the size of the company, the presence, the line of business. You know, I work not too close, but somewhat with an international bank that has, well, they play a huge role in the world, and therefore their services are quite secretive and confidential. What happens is that some of the solutions I have delivered to clients in my life would never work for them because they cannot. It's just impossible for them to have a trust-based approach. They can get into the kind of trouble that nobody is going to feel responsible for. So forget about it, you know. And then you see other companies that have absolutely no reason not to be as nimble as they possibly can. They have no boundaries. They have no limits, nothing, no hard limits. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So they can really get flexible and do things based on what is best for the people that is going to deliver the best results for them. It requires someone with experiences and different experiences to go do an assessment, think strategy, talk to people, understand where they are in their cultural journey, right? Is that still a very autocratic kind of organization? Are they moving on into more like realization-based, outcome-based company, or they're more conscious? So you need to take a lot of non-technological factors in place before you make recommendations or you implement tech. I think one of the biggest conversations that are going to continue through the market, and I have heard so many things this week about it, is the topic of co-locating teams. You have companies, you have countries at this point in time that are really mandating people to go back to the office, and they believe that this is the only way they can achieve things. They really need the people to be there 5 days a week, otherwise it doesn't work for them. And you have companies that remained even before COVID. They were already more nimble. They were already having some sort of policies for remote work, and they have extended it. Some to the point that they have returned every single piece of real estate that they had, and now everybody is working through technologies. It's 100% digital, and that works too. Then you have everybody that's in the middle and lost. Okay, what do? We feel we need the people in, then we ask them to come 3 days, but then they are upset because they see colleagues that work 100% from home. And what is the best mix? I think we need more conversations on that. I strongly believe that we need the extremes as usual to come a little bit closer together. The 100% home virtual for everybody doesn't work.
No,
The 100% in the physical space also doesn't work for everyone. So being a little bit more mindful and open for the conversation is maybe a great start.
I think you're right. I think you're very right. You know, and it's also the hours, you know, some people work at better times than others, and sometimes those corporate 9 to 5 hours aren't the best for people. I mean, I know I struggled with the 9 to 5 hours. I'm very much a nocturnal person, unfortunately, and you know, lack of sleep for a long time hasn't helped matters on that. It has got better, but yeah, being able to work at times that suit you, that work for you, I think is really important. And I think also as well, when you said that about the things, global organizations now have got very much a global setup, that you know, you can be working with, you know, people in the West, you can be working with people in the East, and trying to find the time slots that are to and I found that for my own group, with the membership being, you know, in Australia and New Zealand and Canada and America, as well as the UK and Europe, trying to find time slots to do training has been very, very difficult. And I think that's partly why I've struggled with some of the areas that I've wanted to do, because that time zone didn't fit, and having that availability. So trying to find something that will cater to the needs of your client base as well as yourself and what work, I think is important. And you know, and you were saying about that communication and have these conversations, you need to have those conversations with people to you know, because there are the extremes, but there's also a middle ground, and it's trying to get the balance of what's good for everybody, that will work, and that will you know, keep everybody happy. Not an easy one to get sorted. I know for sure.
No, we could explode this conversation through so many embedded topics. Like, for example, when you talked about the number of hours that people work, you can easily go to YouTube, seek for any of this really mindful, top successful leaders, and they are going to tell you, not Elon Musk, not that guy, please. They are going to tell you that they can only make good quality intellectual work for 3-4 hours a day.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me.
And then you want people to be working in an office for 8 hours for what? What is the point? And I understand it's an inflection point in time, because we are coming from very manual labor work that is a direct function of the time you put an effort into. And obviously then everything runs around time and effort, right? You maybe can do a little faster than somebody else, or maybe you take a little longer, but then you're paid in as a function of that. Into jobs that are going to be more and more based on outcomes, even jobs that look like they're labor intensive and labor based. People are going to realize they are not. I give you an example: healthcare providers, home nurses. You know, people don't really and won't really care if the person is sitting right next to an elderly individual for 24 hours. If that person can be there for a couple of hours per day,
Yeah.
But with those couple of hours is guaranteeing safety,
Yeah.
emotional positiveness, and health development for that
Mm.
person.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I take the other 22 hours. I don't want that. I just want the outcomes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where, again, technology is going to play such a huge role,
Yeah.
because it's going to make these individuals more and more productive.
Yeah.
You can find solutions and work
Yeah.
around, so you
Yeah.
don't need to be physically there for
Yeah.
all the time.
No, exactly.
And
Exactly.
then what do you do?
Yeah. 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 Oh, you're going to open up another conversation that will take us down another path on that one. Oh my goodness, sorry. Right, I'm going to say, if we have a little break,
Sure.
this will be the end of part 1 of the interview, Eduardo. We will be chatting again, and it will come out as the second instalment. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you, Eduardo, and we will resume our chat, and you'll see that part next week when we release it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sue.
Be in the spotlight is the place to be network-driven business technology. Be in the spotlight is the place to be. Tech Talk tips for free.